And you are watching another edition of Blitz Blitz. As you can see by the title, Jacob Martin time. As you guys know, or maybe you've listened to the other shows, maybe this is your first show you've watched, at least in relation to the player reviews we've done so far. This is going to be my third time recording this. Third time. First time, I got halfway through the review, realized I didn't even hit record, so I was talking to myself for an hour for no reason. Second time, recorded the entire thing right after I flubbed up the first one. 2 hours, didn't pick up audio. So this is my third time recording Jacob Martin. So like I said in prior shows, I'm going to try to keep the same enthusiasm because I actually really enjoyed the player, the review. But when you're talking about it for the third time, a little bit tedious. So 52 plays of Martin. This is the last review I'm doing personally, August 7th. You guys are watching this way before other ones like Herbig and Quan Alexander, but nonetheless, something I have to get done. Dreading this a little bit, but still excited to share who Martin is. And right now, I am waiting 3 o'clock, 3:05 Sunday, August 7th. I am just because I know this is the last review I have to do for right now until like preseason starts. As soon as this finishes uploading, Dwayne Brown's going to sign. I'm going to start immediately on Dwayne Brown. I just know how it goes. But with that being said, I would like to break for a couple days, but I'd rather have no break and have a better player on the Jets. So that's just being completely transparent. I rather have the really good player and have to do another review and kind of have to push through. But let's get into the film. 52 plays. I don't know if I already said that or not, but 52 plays. Did this? I think I recorded this about a week ago, so hopefully, kind of forget. I don't know. Ben Burst sack or Martin sack Ben Burst right here, right side of your screen. And this is one of those plays where, and we're going to talk a lot about angles in this review and how he doesn't necessarily always work angles, but because he's so damn athletic, he doesn't necessarily need to. And here, one, you're noticing explosion off the line. He's one of the first ones to well, not even necessarily one of the first ones off the ball, but he's always gonna be the one pushing up field the hardest. He has really good burst, obviously, and with his we're going to talk plenty about angles in this review, and again, hopefully the YouTube people can pick up some of the angle stuff. But you have guys who, you guys know, who will shorten their stride, press inside to get outside, will rush heavy outside to get inside. Martin is so athletic, he doesn't even necessarily need to do that, and it's something that he flashes understanding of angles to soften the edge. But he doesn't have a full understanding, or at least he doesn't deploy it as often as he should, just playing the angles. So if he can get even more consistent with that, he would be pretty ridiculous in terms of just his effectiveness as an edge rusher. So really good burst off the ball. And the thing that I like that you're going to see him do a lot for this review is he has like a multi-layered pass rush plan, just in terms of, okay, his primary move and then also a backup move to support his primary if his primary move doesn't work. So you're going to see him a lot. You're going to see him rush up the arc a lot, just to the outside. And typically you're going to see a cross chop, whether it be a leaping cross chop, just a regular cross chop. But after his cross chops, what he tends to do is he shoots the cross chop pretty early. And obviously that's going to hopefully, chop away the outside arm of the tackle. But with shooting it early, okay, there are some tackles who are going to pull their arm back or just wait for that shot and then shoot you into the chest. But what he does is he chops and dips. And when so you shoot early, it's chopped. You shoot late after my chop, my shoulder's dipped, and now he's reducing that contact surface of the chest. And now if they get a hand on it, it's going to be to the shoulder, to the side of the shoulder, and he's going to be able to bend past that. So that's what we're going to see him do here. Chop a little bit early, but the chop is followed by the dip of the shoulder. And now he's already past the horizontal plane he's on. So now he's working just past the hands, not really past the feet, because he's pushing up the arc. Bends up the arc. Secondary rip, just to, again, this is another type of move just to guard against your chest. And now that he's bending, he does not want the offensive lineman to get his right hand back into his chest and wrench him, which would be the right hand into the chest, the left hand onto the small of the back. He's going to straighten him out. Martin throws that chicken wing like this. Why? Because he's coming at a high angle. So if he's trying to punch into his chest, it's gonna hit his arm. There's gonna be no effective angle for him to get to his chest. So that's why he's doing that right there. Continues up the arc, boom, sack on Jacoby Brissett. And by the way, this is 2019. I watched, just to be transparent, I like to say what I watched. 2019, week 12, 2020, week 113, and then 2021, the entire season. So I want to see him in limited role and all that stuff too. So that's why I watched some of 2021 or 2020 and 2021. So Martin burst foot timing, corner. Okay, he is to the left side of the screen right here. Again, wide 5, go 7, whatever you want to call him, as long as you're consistent. I say that pretty frequently. I don't really care. I just don't like when people will call one time a 9 tech and then one time a wide 5. Like, dude, they can be different. But nonetheless, I don't like ghost and stuff like that. Like, I don't like the ghost calls and, oh, it's a ghost 7, like pretending a tight end there. It's just a wide 5. I don't, whatever. That's how I do it. But similar here, right? It's one, and this one, he's a little bit even late off the ball, but we're seeing really good bend. We're seeing really good burst off of the ball. Another situation where he's chopping, dipping. If the chop doesn't land, if he pulls his hand away, okay, he's going to land to that shoulder. The thing we like about it too is we're seeing some pairing of the hands and the feet, because with that chop and you're going to see him extended stride. This is, you see smaller strides, extended stride. That's because he's pairing his hands with his feet. He's preparing to beat that hand, and he wants to lunge again, like the last play, past his plane, past the horizontal plane, because then he's just working past the hands, because the feet aren't under the hands. That's why I say that. And with that extended stride, I like the fact, and you guys should like the fact, I guess, that he's widening this foot out. Why? Because he's going to burst off that instep as he passes his plane to corner. If this foot is shallow, he's not going to be able to burst inside as well, and he's not going to have as much power through his bend. So it's a really good job with the stride. It's a really good job with the cross chop. It's a good job dipping the shoulder, and then obviously past that, we're going to see the rip take place again. And what's that's doing? Okay, well, if this hand, I can't necessarily tell if it's exactly inside. Let's say that hand is inside right here, by the tight end, or sorry, by the tackle. It's going to be at a nice tight elbow angle, onto Martin, which is going to obviously hold him up a little bit. But when Martin throws that rip, what he's doing is just lifting that elbow, and it becomes a lot less powerful, that hand. You're not going to be as powerful like with a hand like this on somebody with your elbow bent like that as you would be like this, with a nice tight elbow angle, where you can really like sink your shoulder and get your traps activated into it and all that stuff, your back. This is not powerful. This is powerful. So that rip lifts that, to take away that power. Obviously he gets there, but the ball is out. 1, 2, 3 out. So there are going to be reps that we're going to watch with pass rushers, but they don't necessarily win. Oh, bro, he didn't win. He didn't get the sack. Okay. Yes, trust me. There are people who are that simple-minded. Martin pressure. Okay, left side of the screen right here. This is one where I was probably a little bit record happy. I say that I tend to get a little bit record happy with his in the beginning. So here it's honestly, it's not even necessarily the best play. We do like the fact that he's trying to win to the inside, so shortens his initial stride. He's reading the tackle set, and I see him frequently do this, where he might hesitate a little bit or try to win inside if he notices that a running back is to his side because he doesn't want to get chipped. I noticed that with him. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay, say he wants to win inside because he's expecting a running back's chip. So shortens his stride a little bit, a lot of it, as he works to the tackle opens his hip, because he's anticipating an outside move from Martin, because that's what his primarily wins. And I'm sure that tackle has felt that speed. Martin club, arm over, works to the quarterback. Now, did he get the sack? No, but did he force movement from the quarterback? Did he force him to maybe come off a read? Did he screw up his timing? Going for reads. 1 to 2 to 3, however the Colts are going to do it. Yes, he forced the slide in the pocket. Again, a little bit record happy with that one. But it is what it is. So Martin pressure, play 4. He's right here, left side of the screen. So this, and I remember talking about this play. Like I said, I've recorded this 3 times already, because I just screwed up myself. It's not nobody else's fault but mine. So here with the spin, he does have a really good capability to spin, because his body is so loose, he's so flexible, he's so long, he's so bendy. So he could definitely spin well. Now, is this the most proper way to set up a spin? in terms of exploding. He's exploding up the arc. Typically with spins, you want to explode a little bit more into him, because then you're not really fighting your own momentum. And with that being said, we want to see him a little bit tighter, right? Like you want it when we're throwing the spin move. Yes, we want to come off the instep of the outside foot like he is, but ideally, again, we want it a little bit more towards the tackle, because this foot, because he's coming up the arc, is going to be really wide, and when he's wide like that, he's spinning, but typically with that foot tight inside, you're almost spinning, and you're almost like, you'll literally see like there's like rushes out there, like think of like Von Miller, Dwight Freeney, who will literally spin off of a guy's thigh. Like they are almost sitting on his thigh to spin around him. And what that's doing when you have that foot tighter is there's less dead time when you're crossing his face. The tighter you are, the less dead time there is, the less time he has to recover. So we want to see that foot a little bit tighter, but throws a cross chop, and what that's doing is he's defeating that hand. And then with spin moves, the way you're spinning too. So if you're spinning inside the inside hand, you want to time it so that punch is going to hit the back and it's going to roll off of the back. There are guys who will who will defeat both hands, but typically you're going to see outside hand, if an inside spin move, outside hand, spin, tight foot, inside hand, roll off the back, and then you're going to see him come over with the ice pick, which is just he's with spin moves. When you're turning, you want to have that elbow flared out a little bit, or at least that arm flared out, because when you're spinning, you're going to come into contact with his back. The elbow is going to hit the back, the arm is going to hit the back. That's both going to keep him where he is, and it's going to stabilize you and propel you forward at the same time. So it's multifaceted. So we're going to see that, right? I believe right here, right? Yeah. See, now if he was tighter, it would land a little bit tighter. So you could see how he kind of recovers a little bit. If he was tighter, it would have been a little bit cleaner overall. Still gets somewhat pressure on Jacoby Brissett, but just wanted to highlight that for multiple reasons, obviously, as I recapped. So Martin Rush right here, 7 tech. So he's only 242. He does have a capability and he's not a power rusher, but obviously we can squash that immediately. But the thing with him is he's so damn bendy and fast up the arc, and his acceleration is so good that tackles are going to panic a little bit, and they're going to have a lot of their weight going back up the arc, or they're just going to be off balance in general. When you're off balance, you're going to open up the bull rush a little bit more. So it's not like he's just straight power, but his speed is going to be conducive to good power rushes. So it's almost like, and this is not a good comparison. Oh, maybe it's a good comparison. Like it's almost like Robbie Anderson. Like he wasn't good at running routes, intermediate and short, but because he was so good at running deep routes, people respected his deep routes so much, it opened up the underneath for him. It kind of makes sense, right? So rushes up the arc. He gets chipped a little bit, or he gets chipped by 85. So now at this point, he's seeing, okay, he's completely ready for a rush up the arc. So it's going to be really hard for him to push up the field, bend, and get to Brissett. So the only effective angle you can get to Brissett at this point, a lot of distance to cover, is either through the tackle or inside of the tackle. So rushing up the arc, realizes that. I like that he realizes the set point. Tight hands into the chest of the defensive lineman. Now it looks like his elbows could have probably been a little bit tighter. He probably could have been a little bit more under that. And you'd like to see him. Let's see if he rolls his hips. Yeah, he comes up a little high, so he can improve a little bit with the hand placement and rolling up the hips through that. But in general, he does create some movement, and it's just kind of just show flashes of, okay, he can bull rush. And again, that wasn't even the best attempt at it, because at the end of the day, he was chipped, so it slowed down his momentum a lot, which is going to let the tackle set a little bit more, and he's not going to be as off balance trying to match him up the arc. So he's right here, leftmost and man line, whatever, right here. Again, it's like, and when I was watching this game, he played like 20 snaps. And it's like, I recorded like 10 of them. Like, holy shit. Like this guy, like, even though it's not the most flashy, sexy stuff consistent, like there's just consistent pressure with this guy. So now he's rushing up the arc. Okay, as he rushes up the arc, obviously he notices the tight end going to chip him. What does he do? He reduces that shoulder, pulls it down. Obviously, like we talked about before, same type of deal. He's going to hit instead of the chest, he's going to hit the back. Okay, cool. We also like that he widens a little bit, just to kind of pull himself away from that block. So if he is to kind of get under that block, like the tight ends able to get under it. Like he actually widens with that foot and all that. He's widening to allow himself to work around him. Where if he's tighter, it's gonna be harder to pass him by if he was completely committed to this block. So good job widening the feet. Now continues up the arc, and he's already at a point where he's working past the tackle's face. He's going across his face, so he throws a double swipe. I'm not going to guarantee that's a hold, but it looks like he almost has him in a headlock, so I'd probably say it is a hold. Works the reset again, gets a pressure on him, but does not get there. But when your tackle ends up like this because he's trying to match, Martin, it's cool to see. So let's watch it again. Just pure athleticism from this guy. It's pretty ridiculous to watch him play, and when you watch it consistently, just even the same player, not even the fact that we're watching in slow motion for most of this, when we're watching it frame by frame. Go watch really anybody. It doesn't matter if it's Thibodeau, doesn't matter if it's Jermaine Johnson, doesn't matter if it's whoever, minus obviously the elite edge rushers in terms of athleticism. Go watch some of those guys, and then turn on Jacob Martin. You're like, holy shit, yeah, he is really bursty, but it almost dissipates the more you watch it, so you don't respect it as much. And that's kind of happening to me, but I can tell you right now, ridiculously athletic. He is pretty ridiculous. Martin athleticism, soften with angles, question mark. So we're wanting him to soften with angles. So left side of the screen right here. Stand up, obviously 2-point stance. Soften with angles. Did he? Maybe the tiniest, like he stems inside a little bit, and that foot, how that knee comes a little bit high, like just the tiniest bit, that could throw off a tackle. I'm telling you, just the littlest knee raise, and we talk about that. Not really as much, I guess, as we should with receivers. Those high knees can really screw guys up, and that could show like that 100 when you're running 90 type stuff. So it works the angle tiny bit. Really not much. So I'm not sure if when I record this, am I talking about he could soften with angles more, or he is? To me, watching this, again, recapping it, I would err toward the side of, let's press a little bit more inside on this guy, and then get outside, because he does typically just take very flat, very straight angles, and it's pretty obvious, right? Like playing angles is better than not playing angles. So at this point, doesn't really play too much of an angle. Again, just pure speed wins him up the arc, and we're seeing another situation where, and this time we want to, he's a little bit high. Typically with him, he throws that cross chop and dips, and here, if he were to do that cross chop and dip, he wouldn't even caught that shoulder, because he catches that shoulder because he's a little bit high, and he doesn't necessarily reduce like we want him to. So it just catches it a little bit if he was to drop that shoulder. It's a much more successful rush. We want to see him continue on some of the technique he was using prior, but still, even with not playing angles, even with a cross chop that doesn't land, even with him not really reducing, he's still able to almost win. And let's say the quarterback was to hold the ball, would Martin be there to potentially knock that ball out or get a hit on him? 100%. And that's without really any good technique right there. There's really that was. It almost looks like lackadaisical. Obviously, it's not. He's still obviously using really good athleticism, but like the technique, there was really nothing there. That was just pure athleticism. So that's 100% what I meant when I watched it the first time. Martin sack right here, left side of your screen. Again, right? Like it's just pure athleticism. There's really no angle play here. So you're talking about a guy who's 25, 26 years old. He gets with another D-line coach. Are they going to teach him more angles? Can he not improve at age 25? I think he can. So I am excited again, rushing up the arc. We are seeing him. The thing that we are seeing is the footwork and like the cadence, just in terms of, extending that last stride, paired with that cross chop again to work past the tackle. You don't want to short stride chop, and then you're still short striding, because you're never going to cross his path. You want to chop and really leap, not too much, but you want to really extend that stride to corner. Short stride's not conducive with getting past his level, so extends that stride, cross chop. Again, it doesn't really necessarily land the cleanest. It's a little bit late, and the right tackle does a good job of opening up with that cross chop instead of staying a little bit flat. But Nonetheless, chop doesn't land as cleanly as necessarily wants to. And then we're going to see him still just able to maintain his balance and continue to pull himself through. Double swipe. I can't tell if he swipes again there, but continues his way to Mahomes. So it's like, again, it's a play that's good with the stride, but doesn't land cleanly. But we're seeing active hands and him just continue to fight. He never freaking stops working to the quarterback. Now, with more reps, he was less effective, which you would expect. You're going to be a little more tired. But to me, the Jets are going to be playing this guy, 35% of the snaps, 40% of the snaps, maybe, depending on obviously how many times they're throwing from, or passing downs, I should say. Passing downs, it's easy to say. And to me, with Martin, not even to me, I'll just say it. Martin should be a primary rusher on third and long. Like, it's, for me, it's a combination of three guys who should be on the edge. Let's say it's just 3rd and 10, right? For the sake of simplicity. Lawson, Martin, Curry, Huff, maybe I would say is the 4th. Jermaine Johnson's probably 5th on that list. So you're not. I don't see him getting a lot of sacks this year, because he's not going to be as effective as Martin. I can't see that. I think JJ is going to be that run stuffer type of player. But he's right for right now. Year 1, chill out. But he's right here. Let's watch. Okay, athleticism, but could soften, right? So, and oh, you know what? And I remember. So again, I of course remembered. I freaking recorded this play 3 times. This play wasn't necessarily about angles to me. Watching again, because he does press inside. And he probably presses inside because there's that receiver right there, Robinson. So he doesn't want to get chips. So he's gonna take a more aggressive angle inside to avoid that chips. So he presses him inside. The thing that I do not like about this play is he starts to work his way outside off of his outside foot. That is never, ever, ever going to be conducive to exploding outside, or not. At least it's not as much as bursting off your inside of your outside foot, or off of your inside foot in this instance. So we need to see him plan it a little bit better if he's going to rush so heavy inside. Again, it's a feel thing, but we need him to explode outside off of that inside foot, because again, with a foot that's shallow like that, rushing inside to explode outside off of that foot, like right there, it's just there's no way. Look how his leg is bent. Tries to get outside, cross chop, a little bit of a reduce, gets that semi long arm in there, and we like the fact, okay, he's relatively low into it. Continues now to work that as he feels himself passing, again, that level, the hips. I talk about that a lot with rushers. It's really, really important, feeling when you're passing the hips. Feels that, throws in a rip. That doesn't necessarily land as cleanly as we want to. Why? Because the tackle does a really good job attacking the hips and pushing him away, creating that separation. Almost gets to Mahomes. So you're seeing the athleticism take over, where he still almost gets there. But again, stemming outside off of that step, just not. We need to, if anything, really, really shorten your stride. 1, 2, explode off the instep of the inside foot. Again, athleticism still takes over. Almost gets there. Martin just athletic. Left side of your screen here. Again, we're seeing a situation where he's not necessarily winning completely cleanly, right? So, and this is another situation where he's going to take a tighter, and you're gonna see this with most players regardless, right? Like, people don't want to just work themselves into chip blocks. So we're seeing him take a tighter angle, because he's, that running back to his side. He might be anticipating a chip block, or at least it's in the back of his mind. But works his way inside. Sorry, I'm not like texting or anything like that. I'm literally refreshing my phone to see if they signed Dwayne Brown. I just want to know. So rushes inside. Now, we like it better that he is exploding outside off of his instep of his inside foot. Okay, that's good. He's definitely very high into this cross chop. And again, the timing of it is it ends up being a little bit wonky because the tackles is opening up perfectly with it. Like the tackle does a really good job of setting and then committing to the outside once he's commits outside. So sometimes you're just going to get caught. Doesn't end up landing as clean as he wants to. Again, he doesn't really reduce that shoulder as well as he has the other place. He's really exposing his chest right here with that missed cross chop. The tackle's able to land his hands into the chest, but again, Martin is able to just continue running his feet, continue working up the arc, continue using his bend and his flexibility. And again, right here, as soon as he feels himself working past the tackle, he really dips into that rush, continues to work, throws that rip. What does that rip do? See, it's going to lift the elbow, almost gets there. Again, really good athleticism, not the cleanest play in terms of all the technique. And again, you can have perfect technique on a play and get shut down if the tackle has perfect technique. It just is what it is. So it's a good play though. Could obviously improve it though, right? So Martin's speed, semi. That's nitpicky stuff, but it all matters when you're facing a left tackle in the NFL, right? So left side of your screen here, leftmost player. Again, this is just and I hope it's not like again, once you watch it again and again and again and again, it seems normal for a guy to explode the way he does, but he definitely has good speed. And the explosion isn't necessarily even the best here because he kind of almost takes a false step right there, so it delays it. But I'm just talking about the actual straight line speed right here, rushing up the arc now. Again, the tackle kind of short sets him just because, okay, if he's gonna let him win anywhere, he's gonna let him win to the outside because it's supposed to be a quick dump off, I'm assuming. So cross chop, again, a little bit high into it, but his speed just takes him past the level of the tackle, almost gets to Mahomes. Again, just pure speed. That's all I'm showing on this play. The technical side of it's not really necessarily something to highlight. But Martin's sack. Okay, right here, left side of your screen. Yeah, man. So another situation where he's not really playing much angles. He's just a better athlete than the tackle, and the tackle doesn't do a good job of really being under that punch. But if you can catch him when he's jumping in midair and open up with him, it can work. But if you're gonna let him land that cross chop, you are really screwed. So rush it up the arc again with good speed, times it. What is he doing? He's leaping into it to cross his plane, cross chop, leap, club, instep of the outside foot, corner. Beat very cleanly. Sack on Rivers. So again, this is what, 2020, right? 2020, is he still playing? Maybe this is 2019 still. I don't think this is 2019 still. But again, just pure athleticism right here. And again, we like the pairing the hands of the feet, that cross chop club with the extended stride to cross his plane, right? So next, set edge. I did not record a lot of plays of him in the run game because I just thought it was a waste of time, to be completely honest. I really severely doubt he's going to play a lot of run reps versus the Jets, or with the Jets. Now, obviously, we're going to have situations where, okay, it's 3rd and 6, and maybe the Jets team that a passing down, which I would. But then you might have a team like the Pats who's like, screw you guys, I'm running draw. Like we see your light personnel, I'm running draw. So that can happen, and he's going to have to play the run in that instance. So he's right here, set edge. Again, I think this might be the only play I put in the run game. But he notices an aggressive set from 75. Does a decent job with his base, just in terms of getting balanced, getting a little bit lower into his stance, working off of his instep. Now that the hands could be more powerful there, but they do land inside. He does drop his weight, and now the good thing that he does here that I like is he sets the edge very well, just in terms of, okay, having your outside half clear, instep, working through the hand. So he's throwing that pillar, cool, clearing the outside half, forcing Taylor to cut back inside. We like the fact that Martin continues to work his hands. Obviously, the left hand you can see of the offensive lineman landing into his chest, works it, grabs his wrist, removes it, sets the edge. Pretty well. Taylor is forced to cut through a skinny gap because Martin again held his ground pretty well there, and breaks in, and cuts upfield into a tackle. But Martin, just in terms of his job, does pretty well here as they run. they're running behind this wham block. So all about playing angles, and he forces a tight angle, just in terms of that lane he has to cut through. So Martin pressure, right side of your screen right here. So the thing I already noticed about this is we're liking the coil pre-snap. We really like guys really powerful into that load leg, or loading that front leg, exploding off of that. You want to load up on the leg you're going to explode, just like a spring. So we like this. Let's see what happens. It's a lot of similar stuff, because if he can add more inside moves, more power rushes, all that this year to his repertoire, where he's not just going to pretty much purely rely on a cross chop, because that's a lot of what he does. He could be dangerous. He really could. He's a good. This is one of those signings where, like, and it's great, because like I've been on the Conklin thing since the day since I watched him, and now he lit it up in the green and white practice. So it's great. Obviously, it doesn't really mean much until it happens in the season. Martin's another one of those guys I'll stand behind. I think he's going to be effective. Now, 10 sacks, no, but is he going to produce a very high sack rate and pressure rate for this, just based on his snaps per snap basis? Yes, he is. He just is. So he's right here. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I think I'm not trying to like pump myself up. When I really back players, I typically have a pretty good track record. I've failed before, but typically a good track record. So right here, again, not playing much with angles. Takes it a little bit inside, which, that step right there could hold the tackle a little bit. Again, all you're really trying to do with steps inside like that, I'm not even saying that's what he's trying to do. I'm just talking about typical edge rushers, or edge rushers, edge rushes. That inside stab, you're trying to force a weight shift, so he's not just a weight shift, or locking the feet into the ground. That's really all it is. And then that weight shift is locking the feet into the ground. So it's kind of the same thing. But step inside, okay, continue up the arc. Again, just timing. The thing I do like about this is we're going to see him like preemptively chop the outside hand, just in case it came really early, right? Because the problem with these cross chops are, if you get caught in the chest when you're up, you are beyond, excuse my French, but you're beyond fucked. So he's throwing that first hand so he doesn't get caught in the chest. 1, 2, right? So I like the hand usage there. 1, 2, again, extended stride, bursting into a foot that's outside of your frame, off your instep. Again, conducive to exploding laterally, working up the arc to bend that corner. Reduces. We also, what else do we like here? We like this hand. So there's a lot of technique here, and a lot of hand work. So as he's not getting contacted, he's not sure where this hand's going to land. And this time, instead of throwing that chicken wing, because he might want to actually cleanly land a rip. If you have the chicken wing, you're not really able to bend as well. Now, if you actually land a rip and it's actually like set into the elbow, it allows you to use that as like a pivot point to get around. So he doesn't necessarily want to use that hand to throw a rip right now. Just a feel thing. So he's throwing that outside hand right here just to deflect anything, just to be there, just in case it does land, or to deflect it from landing. Really low into that corner. Rip. Now, again, ideally we want like elbow to elbow and lift. It doesn't land super clean, but it still lands enough. We're seeing the body contortion. We're seeing the bend. We're seeing the flexibility. That's pretty blatantly obvious on his film. Gets the Rivers for the hit. The ball is thrown, but still, it's a pressure. It's a good play, right? So, Martin rush win. Left side of your screen. I think I'm not 100% sure if their tackle is 75 Juwan Taylor. I'm not sure if he's starting for them. I think it. To be honest, it looks like him. I watched Juwan Taylor 3 years ago, but it looks like him. I like his feet right there. But nonetheless, he still gets. Actually, do I like his feet? Yeah, it's really not bad. He leans a little bit, but I'm not. I want to talk about Juwan Taylor. So Martin, now he's playing an angle a little bit more here, because he's pressing a little bit more inside, and then with his last step, he's exploding a little bit more vertical. So we see a little bit more angle play here. So he rushes him more inside, keeps him inside, and then again, he's going to depend on the athleticism, that cross chop, getting more vertical. Right now, he's just trying to soften his edge. So inside, keep him inside. Oh, the thing I said about the last play too that I didn't. If you can remember, maybe you can rewind and watch it. But before he throws that chop too, he kind of flashes his chest to the rusher, and that forces the rusher almost to or the blocker to think that he's coming right now. I didn't necessarily look at how that affected the blocker, but I did like that little chest flash before the chop because it's like flash. Oh, away from it. It's like the same thing with angle. Then you're just playing with your upper body. It's almost like a receiver, with all this shit, which I don't necessarily always love, but press him inside a little bit, hold him inside, foot outside the frame, instep, explode up the arc, obviously extended stride like we've talked about, paired with a cross chop, rip, get to Lawrence for a hit pressure again, however they deem that. I don't really care, but still a good play. Really good athleticism. Obviously, he's definitely a good athlete. Good play. Martin plan, question mark. Did he have a plan? I'm going to assume not. Left side of your screen here. Okay, that is Taylor, right? Yeah, looks like Taylor. So okay. Cam Robinson. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what exactly. I remember there was something like very specifically. Oh yeah, so this is a play where I almost gave him like a mulligan. I believe when I was watching this the first time because rushing up the arc again, rushers tend to take a little bit more inside heavy when they have the running back set to their side and a gun like a split back look because obviously you don't want to necessarily just give yourself to a chip, right? Like you want to avoid the chip ideally if you can. So 8 times out of 10 rushers are just going to rush inside heavy on that, which is a really assisting the tackle. That's kind of what it's meant to do, right? So, or partially what it's meant to do. Explodes off the ball. Now, to me, I think he wants to rush outside and he wants to turn that into a bull rush. He's going to burst off the inside step and bull rush. But when he goes to do that, we have Robinson who flashes that fake punch, and I think that just screws up his timing a little bit because now he sees that punch. He doesn't want to, just directly rush into obviously a punch because it's going to catch him. So I think that screws up his timing, where then he hesitates and then tries to just rush against that inside shoulder. Which good job. Because listen, if you're not going to be completely under your bull rush, if you can play angles and rush the weak shoulder, okay, that's fine. But typically bull rushes you want to get completely under a guy. But again, if you're just playing angles, and you can't completely go through them, try to rush that weak shoulder. So rushes the weak shoulder, almost gets, or he actually almost, he still almost gets there, and just it's really a lot of just pure athleticism, foot drive, his ability to regain his balance after getting pushed laterally. So not the cleanest win in the world, but again, just pure athleticism. And I really do think that fake punch is what completely got him there. Really seems so. Again, I can't assume, or I don't want to completely assume and guarantee stuff. That's why I kind of give you a lot of these reviews. I give you this or that. This is what it is. This is what I think it is. A lot of people talking absolutes with film, which to me, unless you have the playbook, it's a lot of bullshit. For the most part, we can guarantee a lot of stuff, but there are plays where there's absolutely no way. Martin needs a changeup. Again, she's just changeup pitch. She's just fastball. Guys are gonna start hitting it, so needs a changeup. Let's see here. Left side of your screen. 3-point stance. Again, there are going to be good tackles who are going to sit to the outside, who are going to flash that hand. And if their feet are under them with him, because I talked about the move where, okay, he cross chops dips, which works a lot, but that's if tackles are going to properly set them. You almost like want to improperly set him where you have to anticipate when he's closing that ground, just open up and not necessarily throw your hand. So again, those good tackles, those good film studiers are going to know how to beat him at times because he only really has one primary move. Rushes up the arc, and again, now he's even doing a better job of playing angles. Instep bursts towards him, and that's just he's trying to hold himself in or hold him inside. Again, outside in, okay. Weight shift. Now that weight, instead of on that back foot, it's going to be on that front foot, which again is not conducive to him getting up the arc. In terms of tackle, inside or outside to inside, inside to outside, cross shot, but we see Taylor do a really good job just not falling for it, pulling his hands away. He circle punches. That's what that is to me. Circle punch, hands land, the rush is shut down. Now, again, he has like that secondary burst. Like even though he's caught right here, like just that like the explosion right there. It's just you see some rare traits, and it's very little. And you have to watch a lot of guys to just kind of feel athleticism. But again, his is pretty obvious, right? So Martin changeup. This is the changeup. After I asked for it the last play. Oops. I just flubbed something up. Are you sure? Okay. I don't know what I just did. Changeup. All right. Right side of your screen. 3-point stance or 4-point stance, sorry. And now with a guy like Martin, because a guy is going to set so far to the outside, attacking that inside shoulder is completely fine because all their weight's going to be shifted back. So the inside shoulder is going to be pretty easy to work past. So rushes up the arc, and now he actually turns into a bull rush. And again, this is another play where I think he could play angles better. Like he almost just straight angle into this bull rush. Where again, if he were to go a little bit outside, get that weight onto that back leg and get him a little bit off balance, kind of laboring to get to the set point because of Martin's just again athletic ability. Playing those angles can make this even better, but doesn't even play the angles as well as I think he could. But again, good burst. We're seeing him come off the ball first. That's good. Good snap timing. Up the arc. Again, work into the tackle. Kind of off the instep of that outside foot. Again, hands inside. And he's not even the bull rush is not even great because he's a little bit high into it. He doesn't have the best leverage into this. But what happens here is because the tackle is working so hard to get back, a lot of that weight's going backwards. So Martin landing that hand into the inside, he's just going to extend that arm, and that's just going to basically push the tackle where he's already going, right? So hand lands inside, pushes the tackle where he's already going. We're seeing some core strength, torque, extension. Extend them, work past. But keep that hand attached until you go to cross the face. Attached until he crosses the face. Pulls himself through. Cross chop. Chase down, or almost chase down Lawrence. But it's a good play, and it could be even maybe better with the angles. But he gets on him quick there. So it's very nitpicky to talk about the angles because maybe he tried to get him on quick. Again, I'm just offering some different points of view. So it's a good job. Again, extension, the power right there, the pairing of the hands and the feet as he crosses the face with that extended stride. Again, similar to what we talked about before. Oh, hold on. I accidentally closed out my my stuff. Hold on. What was that? That was 18, right? That's for 19. Motor right here. Left side of your screen. 7 tech. Simply, okay, run play, he gets kicked out, and there are plenty of players here who will see that tight rush angle or that tight track from the running back and might not, and actually a cutback, and might not completely chase him down. But Martin does a good job of continuing to fight through the play, track down the running back, make the tackle. That's not, I probably saw some better plays at Motor, but it's just a side note. Quick, easy play that takes me 30 seconds. It's always nice sometimes, especially when I've already done this. I think I recorded the up to play 21 3 times. So after play 21, I'm only doing it my second time. So, it's look at the bright side. And we're already 20 plays through. And again, I love doing this, but I love doing it one time. Left side of your screen. Rush win. Okay. So another situation where, they're running 3 jet right here. So 3 jet, center goes right. These guys go left. He scans inside out. Once this guy drops off, he just kind of sticks it to the left side. Nonetheless, because of that running back there, Martin wants to win to the inside. Rushes up the arc. Now I don't think this is his plan initially. I think he has a different plan. That's just based on a feel thing. Because getting into a rush like that is not the most conducive. Now, Now, there are different types of stabs. Like to me, there's a difference between a one arm stab and a long arm. A long arm is really getting underneath that arm and bull rushing a guy. With the stab to me, I typically see guys like they stab with more of an open chest, but they're stabbing to set up like an outside move, typically. So goes with the stab. You'll typically see that again, stab, chop, and then like stab, chop, rip. You'll see that a lot. But gets the stab in there. And I think he now, okay, kind of processing that the running back is coming to my outside shoulder. So he wants to win inside, gets that hand attached. Now, again, just core. This is torque. This is core power. And again, because the offensive lineman is working so heavy to get and let's see. Yeah, and he's a little bit high, but nonetheless, his momentum going backwards. He lands that hand. Again, core power, extending that hand, crosses the face, chops, and just drives his feet, gets to Lawrence. Okay. Again, the sexiest win in the world. No, but we see the burst, and again, you know, the fact that he shows the ability to win inside with power because of his, you know, his speed affords him that opportunity. Did he get the sack? No. Did he get a pressure? Sure. You know, it's still a good play. He didn't get completely shut down. Trust me, how many times as Jets fans have we seen in the past couple of years, maybe not as much last year, where, you know, Tom Brady just sitting there with the ball, just, oh, hold on, let me fucking light a cigar here and smoke that. Oh, still even got the nubby. Okay, smoke the nubby. Has time for the nubby. Throw that away. Throw the ball. There's like no pressure around him. You can't have that shit anymore. It is infuriating. Infuriating watching that. Martin, even if he doesn't win cleanly, he's a lot of times he's gonna squeeze that pocket. So Martin sack right here, left side of your screen. And he's almost he's flaily with his like, and so I want to see him condense himself a little bit more at times in general, but he can give you a little bit flaily. But okay, so we have another situation where he is he tries to win to the inside. Why? Running back, you know, he wants to win through him or inside, just want to get chipped. We talked about that plenty of times already. So rushes up the arc. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, now I remember this play. See, I had to record. If I recorded this for the third time, I would know. Second time, I'm screwing myself up. They're running a stunt right here, so he wants to press up the field to hold his attention, cross his face. He's hopefully gonna cross his face, and spike this or spike inside, hit this guy's hip, and then 97 is going to loop around. But what happens is, 77 doesn't get any depth here, so the penetrator, yeah, is supposed to attack the hip of the guy that the looper is occupying, right? But past, not even past that, before that, the penetrator has to notice if they can just win inside. If they can win inside, they have a more direct angle to the quarterback. So that's what happens here. There's a lot of separation. Martin presses up the field, crosses the face. Holy shit, another cross chop, a little bit leaping into it. Again, doesn't necessarily land cleanly. I like the secondary awareness of space right here, where he's rushing through this gap. He notices that this is a little bit tight, gets his hand onto the offensive lineman, at least for maybe a second, or at least tries to. Nonetheless, the blocker's a little bit under him. So when he's under you and he's tight, what do you have to try to do? You have to try to create distance to get him to extend, because you're not as strong again here as you are here. So creates a separation with his lower half, just again extending, like leaping into that, pairs that with a chop, rip, bend to get to the quarterback, just consistent, just foot drive, effort. It's just always there. Like you can see there's some violence in his hands. Like he's just because he's 240 doesn't mean he's strong. He's a strong guy for 240, in my opinion. So cross chop, again, awareness of space, extension, club, rip, bend, get to Baker Mayfield for the sack. Let's watch again. It's a pretty play. All right, moving on. Martin versus read option. Left side of your screen here for Darnold. Now, again, he's not going to be playing a lot in the run game. So this is like the second play I have him in the run game. The thing with this is, when you see this, the pairing of the backer and him, and they're both pressing down, it eliminates the fact like, okay, maybe they had like that exchange where he presses towards the running back, he would dive flat, and then he plays over the top. Scrape exchange. There's a specific, maybe it's a scrape exchange. Again, sometimes I have to look at my notes. I forget all, some terminology I forget, but with that, that's a way to play a lot of read options. Like people, just press the mesh, and okay, it's easier said than done if you don't have a guy who's athletic enough. So a lot of guys will basically assign DN to running back. He takes him that or what, and then what the offense sees. Okay, he's diving inside. Darnold pulls the ball. Oh, well, guess what? The linebacker is preparing for that. He scrapes over the top. He runs right into him. So that's a way to play read option. But on this play, that's to me not what happens. So what we need to see him do is take a more direct angle to press that mesh and read it. He just dives at a really flat angle to the inside. Darnold outflanks him to the outside. Is able to run in for the touchdown. So he needs to play that mesh point with more like fairness. More fairness, is fairness the word? More disciplined. He needs to play it at more of a straight angle instead of a flat angle to try to cut off the running back. So plan. Okay. Right side of your screen right here. Assuming the lack thereof. Yeah, so one heavy step inside, and then just rushes straight up the arc. And again, there's not a lot here, in terms of, I almost disagree with myself a little bit, because if he does take that hard step inside, okay, well now you got him to hesitate when you're going to the outside, and now you're trying to race him to the edge. Like he has the athleticism to do that. So the plan is not bad here, to be frank. But let's continue to watch, see if I pick up anything else on this one. Stab inside. The only thing that ideally we want to see is this stab inside it's not overly threatening, so it's not going to get a weight shift. So that's what I'm talking about with the plan here. Though I'm thinking about it. If you are going to press the inside, again, just angles, footwork, cadence, all that stuff, it matters. If he was a little bit tighter, let's say he was 2 yards inside, and he did that one step inside, it would threaten the tackle a lot more. But when you're taking one hard step inside, you're this far away, the tackle's not necessarily thinking, okay, he's going to work into me immediately to the inside or bull rush me. So you want to threaten a little bit closer. So that's what I'm talking about. So the plan is not the best, but with that being said, stab outside, goes to and then it rushes up the arc, cross chop, tries to throw a club into a rip, but there's a lot of separation there, so the tackle's able to recover. Then he gets locked up. So again, if you're planning to rush the inside, three choppy steps, stab, not one stab from this far away, just because again, it's not overly threatening when you're that far away. Martin contain. Okay. Right side of your screen here. Oh, this is a run play. So let's count. This is the third run play. This is a good one. So obviously notices something up is up here, right? Tackle's not blocking him, so he closes ground. Now I like the fact that he's not just diving inside. Why? Because he has his backside gap responsibility. If there is any, end around or reverse or whatever it may be, if he dives inside, he's going to be out of position for that, right? So that's exactly what happens here. So really good job shuffling, reading the play, maintaining your his backside gap responsibility. Reads the handoff, sees that the ball is going to 30. You see him pretty early anticipate that this is coming. His eyes are on this. He sees the reverse coming. Reverse. Now, what does he want to do? Play outside in. Again, if anything, force him to cut back. And if you can't make the tackle, force him to cut back inside. You do in no circumstance here with all this motion pulling the defense away from the play, can you let him run up the sideline? There's just absolutely no way. So he works to cut him off to the sideline, which, for me, DJ Moore, he could have done more here. He kind of cuts right into him, to be completely honest, but it's a good job initially. Disciplined, seeing it, cutting him off to the outside, forcing the cutback, getting hands on Darnold, and then making a tackle. Now, again, for me, DJ Moore, he could have done a little bit more there. DJ Moore could have done more. But good play by him. So phone buzz. Is there a signing? Is there a signing? 29 minutes ago. Still nothing. I'm waiting for it's going to be one or two things. It's going to be either he signed or Dwayne Brown had a visit with the Jets, and the contract it was offered, but he's going to visit. He's going back to visit the Seattle Seahawks. I'm like, can't let him leave the building. Backup tackle is very, very important to me right now. And a guy like Dwayne Brown, like, you start looking into him a little bit. Like, I already have a little note section for Dwayne Brown. I didn't, and this is based on numbers, but I didn't know he played as well as he did last year. So I'm excited to watch him if he does get signed. But left side of your screen, plan question marks. So again, not necessarily much there, right? Now, again, being fair to him, the 73, the tackle aggressively sets him. So maybe he had a plan to rush up the arc, or 3 steps outside, inside, whatever it may be. But again, when a tackle does something you're not necessarily expecting, whether it be vertical versus 45 versus jump or whatever, your plan can get screwed up sometimes. So step up the field, aggressive set. He shortens his stride to read it. Goes to press to the inside, then goes to press to the outside with a chop spin. Another hesitation, like at a certain point, I just want to see him bowl through a guy. Like, at this point, you're kind of caught. You're not necessarily going to beat him with athleticism. Like, just explode off that instep right there, get into his chest, and then reassess, because a lot of the dancing right here isn't. It's not effective. You'll see guys who might get caught like this, and they're like, okay, boom, screw it. And that's like Jermaine Johnson. We'll do that stuff. Off the top of my head. Martin, tackle for loss, play 27. Left side of your screen right here. 7 tech. Yeah, the heavy set. I'm assuming this is a short yardage situation where they're running inside zone, and Martin, I'm sure, is anticipating that. And this is a play where he just trusts his athleticism. Now, I don't know if he has the flexibility. Like, I don't know if there's, he could shoot either gap right here and 58 filled, or he doesn't. Again, it's hard to tell. But him being a little bit late off the ball here actually kind of assists him. So this backside gap is open. When the tight end steps inside like that, Martin sees that step inside. Just, again, a natural feel for the open D gap. Works off the instep of the outside foot or the inside foot. Club, arm over, beat him as cleanly as he possibly could. Whether it be feel thing, or, again, I don't know if he had the flexibility to play either way. But regardless, he does a really good job. Again, just kind of reading the run block, getting that club arm over, finding the running back, breaking down, taking an outside angle. Like, again, there are plenty of guys who would just run in like a bat out of hell here, miss the tackle, be off balance, but it's a good job by him closing ground while broken down and square to the running back, tries to cut it back, closes around, makes a tackle. So, good play. So I'm not meaning to yawn. It's not because I'm bored of the review. It's literally got like 3 hours of sleep, which is typical. It's my, you guys don't care, but it's my Friday. I don't sleep a lot on Fridays on purpose. I get back into a normal schedule for the weekends, or at least your guys' normal schedule, 9 to 5 type stuff. Right here, left side of your screen, 3-point stance. Another pressure, Mac Jones here. So, And this is one. So this is not necessarily the best job by the tackle. He really ends up reaching for that block, and again that one hard step inside might hold his feet just the tiniest bit. Now we could argue, okay, well, he's kind of rooting his feet down because he's staying inside, so we can go either way. Hard step inside wide to avoid the chip of the tight end after he steps inside. Okay, I want to rush back up the arc again. There's not much angle play. That's not really doing too much. It's just a hard step inside more to avoid the tight end than to press the tackle. And in my opinion, after that again continues up the arc, leaping cross chop again, and we talked about it so much with the chop paired and they're. So he has two different types of cross chops. Typically, it's the leaping chop with the extended stride, or it's the chop dip. So it's good to have two different chops. Every chop is not the same, obviously. So this one, and this is the one where you have to be sure to catch the outside hand. With this one, there is no leaping chop, miss, then duck. That's it. Rarely, I'm sure you'll see it pop up eventually. But this one you have to be pretty sure. You have to time that hand well. So times it well, leaps, chop, club, rip. You see that all the time with him. What he's doing, pulling the legs away. Why is he doing that? It's really just to corner. If your feet aren't going to be outside your frame right here, you're not like working back inside and you're straight up, you're not going to be able to turn straight up. Think about like just running around a car or like one of those motorcycles. Like imagine one of those motorcycles that races around the track had to stay straight up. You'd never go anywhere. You'd just be so slow turning. You have to turn into it, right? So that's what he's doing with those legs. Rip, work to Mac Jones. Mac Jones obviously gets out, and I think he completes it. Yeah. So still a pressure though by Martin, so it's a good play, right? 29 near sack. Rightmost side of your screen right here. Let me extend the screen a little bit right here. Okay. And pretty similar to some of the other plays, right? Where we have the split back set to his side, so he wants to win to the inside. I like the fact that he pushes a little bit more up the field to threaten and this is not necessarily the best job by the left tackle. He's really laboring right there, and knowing he has the outside chip, he needs to sit a little bit more inside to me and be a little bit more balanced. But we're not talking about the tackle. But I do like that Martin, instead of just directly going into him, he still is pressing up the arc just to give the illusion that he can potentially win there, which in this situation would be really, really hard. So not a good job at the tackle, but speed up the arc, instep, explode inside. Again, pretty high into that bull rush. You really, really want to see him get low, roll it up, lift. He's out leveraged here, not necessarily the best hand placement. But because he came in with such force and the tackle was again off balance, it still works out relatively effectively. Gets extension even with not great hand placement. Right hand versus outside, or outside hand versus outside hand right here. They kind of deflect each other. Continues to drive his feet with that extension off the left foot or off the left hand. Nearly gets to Wentz for the near sack. He picks up the sack with the other guy, right? Half sack. So good job. Martin wins slip. Do see him again. He gets a little bit flaily, and we'll see that a lot of that flailiness just is throwing him off balance. And we see a decent amount of slips from him. And it was funny. I was going to point it out, but people weren't going to notice it. There was one play in the green and white scrimmage. I forget exactly what happened. Obviously, the offense is on the field, and Martin almost gets to Zach Wilson. He actually slipped. Like it's just. And that's one of his weaknesses. I put. He loses his balance too often. I see it in the green and white scrimmage. I'm like, okay, makes sense. But win slip again right here. Let's see. So rushes up the arc again. Now, I don't know if he's not expecting an aggressive 45-degree set right here, but with that being said, he shortens his stride as let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say now he's reading that set. He adjusted his footwork because of he got a set he didn't necessarily expect while reading the running back as well. Again, let's give him all the benefits of the doubt, right? So gives him a little crossover, almost like a rocker, right? Boom, boom. Tackle. Let's be honest, that's a pretty piss poor punch by the tackle. Turning back inside while shooting his hands outside, that's not the most powerful position to be in. But Martin times it not the best. You can see he gets caught in the chest a little bit right here. And if the tackle's feet are under him, he's probably locked down. To be fair, but he does end up landing, chop, club. Another chop almost lands right there. Bends the corner. Brissett obviously steps up, and Martin is not able to corner as well as he wants to and slips. Now, again, like, do I want to see him either just win, try to, at this point, try to win cleanly inside or bull rush him? Like you're very close distance right here. You're in a very dangerous contact window. So for him, yeah, I'm not a big fan of this win, to be honest. To me, this is more bad tackle play than good DN play. I'm always going to be fair, because when you're in this close vicinity and his hands are able to land on you and you're leaping into it, that being in this spot is, you're very, very rarely going to win. It's the tackle and how he shot that. Again, he's able to corner all that stuff. And listen, you're going to play some tackles who aren't not the best, and you're going to be able to beat them with not necessarily the best technique. So we still got to highlight it. I don't want to say McDermott anymore, which is the running joke, but he's injured. I don't know if he's going to be out for the year or not, which might force the Jets' hand with Dwayne Brown. Let's refresh again and see if Dwayne Brown is here. He's not going to be. No. 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 4 o'clock. All right. Right side of your screen, Martin stuff. It's like the 4th or 5th run play. And again, let's give him all the benefits of the doubt here and say to me, it's a combination of, it could reading the tackle set with the track of the running back, seeing the open gap. It's a combination of things, but rushes up the arc again. I think he starts to rush up the arc and he sees this wide open gap. And then he pairs that with, flashing it out into the backfield and seeing the running back's track and just guessing to the inside right there. So I think it's a combination of things. Sees the open gap, crosses the face of the tackle again with an extended stride. That's what we need to do when we're crossing people's face or trying to get past their level. Extended stride, cross chop, doesn't necessarily land the cleanest, but because he's already kind of past them, the tackle's not able to really get his feet under the block. Continues to drive his feet to the running back, gets it on the tackle. Okay. Martin back-to-back wins. All right. Right side of your screen right here. See, I hate when I do back-to-back because it's just adding an extra play. Why not just, I don't know. Sometimes it's like I'll record, I'll see the first one, it's almost good enough to record, but he does it again, and I'm like, oh, okay, back-to-back plays of being solid. So you got to record it. So I get it. I don't know. I'm talking shit about myself. Here, a little bit better of a plan, right? So rushing up the arc, closes that ground. I probably see that step be a little bit more forceful. It's a little bit too under his frame. I want to see it a little bit more outside of his frame just to explode off of it. So there's some little nitpicky things you can do. Again, I think that could press a little bit more inside, and just him widening the outside of his frame a little bit more threatens the tackle even more than it does here. But with that being said, explodes to the outside off of that. Again, extended strider across his level, blah, blah, blah. We already talked about that 30 times, so I don't necessarily have to repeat and explain it. Leaping cross chop, club, rip, seed all the time. Bend. Brissett gets the ball out within 2 seconds. 2 seconds. So yeah, he doesn't get there. But this is a good play. I like that. I like that stab and that stab inside to just, again, hold him inside. Now his feet are under him. He's not on balance. Great. Martin rush win. Left side of your screen, 3-point stance. Obviously, we like the effort too, but another scenario where he rushes to the outside, notices the chip coming, and he takes a step inside. Now, a little bit risky to not just go with a bull rush here. You know, the chest is a little bit open. The hands aren't like they're dropped, but they're not so wide where you can't land the hands on Martin potentially. But maybe you'd like to see a bull rush here, because he does get into a pretty close contact window, and now he has no contact with the ground. So a tackle who lands his hands, he's not really gonna be able to beat him. So again, another play where yes, he ends up winning. A lot of it's athleticism, where he's not necessarily caught in, or he doesn't necessarily put himself in the best position just right here. Now, with that, you know, again, a good tackle might beat him here, but this tackle, he's able to land the cross chop, so the hand does not land inside of him. Pairs that with a club. It's a club, and then he pulls. He's off balance here, but when he pulls that down, he's allowing himself to regain balance. Like that's almost hard to explain. Like he's almost falling, but him pulling the other guy down pulls himself back up to be balanced, right? So while also passing his level, like that's pulling him down and making him off balance, while also allowing Martin to regain his balance. Chops it, and again runs down Brissett, who completes the ball. Does he? Yeah, completes the ball to whoever that was. But we like to see him beaten up on the tackles of the Dolphins, right? Even though they got Terrell Armstead, who's only going to play 3 games. They cannot get swept by Miami. They need to beat Miami and New England this year. I can't take more fucking sweeps. Left side of your screen, 3-point stance. Okay. Right. Obviously, we like to chop out too. So comes off the ball, explosion, and now we're seeing some more angle play, right? Like from 1920 to even 20 to 21, and from the beginning of 21 to later in 21, you know, or beginning to mid to late. And maybe I should have marked this down, but it seems like he's starting to play angles a little bit more as we move through this review, right? So starts up the arc as he comes into that near contact window, stab inside. What does that do? Locks tackle's feet into the ground, forces that punch, which the double punch comes out. Now the hips are really locked. That's not the most powerful position to be in. Martin pairs that with, again, that extended stride explosion off the instep, cross chop, club, rip all the time. Cross chop, club, rip. Gets to Jacoby Brissett. Then obviously, what is he doing? He finds the ball that's loose, chops it out. That is hell of a. This is one of the better plays we've seen. You see athleticism, like it's just he like. So obviously sometimes he's gonna lose speed, but typically it's just foot drive, which is 100% effort all the time. And a lot of times he just rushes up the arc and he just does not slow down. So hopefully you match him. If not, it's just what it is. So Martin sack right here, 2-point stance. Like I could say right now, if we want to see him more coiled and loaded up into that. I don't know if he's going to take the snap like that, but there's going to be a false step or some dead time at that. Oh, okay. So he loads up a little bit before. Beats Taylor Lewan. Yeah, tiny bit of dead time, but not really. So rushes up the arc. Again, a little bit of a better plan on angles. Up the arc, instep to instep, which again almost acts like that rocker, right? So it's really just like a crossover. It's pretty much what it is. But playing the angles, outside, inside. What is that doing? Locking the feet, forcing the hands. Again, just like the tackle from the Dolphins. If you're going to shoot like that, especially from distance, it's not powerful. And if you don't land your hands, you're really reducing the chances of you being able to match back up the arc. Right? Yeah, sure. So, and footwork forces the punch outside of his frame to explode up the arc. Cross chop, club, rip, work through the hand, continue to drive his feet. Yeah, he didn't win as clean as he wants to. The hand is on him, the left hand of Luan, but he continues to just drive his feet because his hips aren't under that block. He's able to, again, just work past it. Works past it. Nearly gets the sack, and he calls for the hold because he is held right there. I don't know if you guys see that, but he's very clearly held, and it's not called. So this should be instead of is it a completion? Instead of a touchdown, it should have been a holding, and they should have been back 10 yards from where they are right now. So I should label that force hold because that's what it was. Refs missed it, which is going to happen, right? So actually, give me a second here. All right, continuing on, left side of your screen. So we have another stunt right here where they are trying to crash him inside, and then both these guys are going to a loop. At least that's what it looks like initially. I don't necessarily love the execution or the plan here, but nonetheless, rushes up the field again, trying to hold him to the outside, occupy him, make him again not as tight to the offensive lineman to his right, so they can't pass off the stunt as well. So push up the field, crosses his face with a cross chop again, extended stride. Now, with that being said, with just in a pure rush situation, him being so far outside of him and trying to cross his face with a large leap, playing with fire a little bit, but crosses his face, cross chop. And now with that cross chop, again, what is he trying to do? Now he's going to try to attack that hip and move him off his spot. The looper is going to loop to the outside because Martin's going to pull him inside, crash on this guy, and it's going to open up a free lane for the looper, right? He gets low, trying to crash into him, crashes into him, and his momentum, because he's just you could see the momentum that goes into this guy getting crashed into, with obviously doesn't have a clean base under him, pops him, and now what does he want to do? And he's not just going to just run into the guy. Now he's going to try to, or not just run into the guy, keep running into the guy. He's going to now change his trajectory to the quarterback. The thing I like about it too is a little bit of awareness of space right here, just a little bit. Gets the hand onto Luan's back to kind of propel himself forward. Gets the pressure on Tannehill, who delivers the ball to his tight end, but still, it's obviously good pressure by Martin there. So Martin sack, force fumble, play 37, right side of your screen. Similar to a lot of the rushes we've seen. So coming off the ball, and I like now, I don't know if this is planned or I don't know if this is just based on him reading the tackle set, but the tackle sitting a little bit heavy inside, and we're seeing him reduce his stride a little bit to get this foot inside, like with proper timing. Like he's trying to get proper timing on that foot. He reduces his stride to do so because he doesn't want to overstride, burst into this stride and close too much ground. And same vice versa, he doesn't want to not close enough ground. So you see him come off the ball with an extended stride, and you see him reduce a little bit with that next step to set up that stride well, to both get, because you want to get some extension into it. You don't want to necessarily reduce that last step so much, because then it's not going to be outside of your frame. You're not going to be able to burst off of it. So really good with his feet right there. Instep, burst outside. Oh, holy shit. A leaping chop club rip. Right? Lift up that elbow, up to the sky, bend. Now again, what does he see? Okay, quarterback doesn't notice him. He sees the ball, chop, force fumble, who I think Tennessee recovers. Yeah, they recover. 60 recovers right there. But obviously, hell of a play by Martin, right? Okay, let's see. 37, 38 out of 52. And I'm never talking about Martin again the rest of my life. Martin, quick reactive Fant movement. I think this may be a similar situation where he's a little bit late off the ball. He sees Fant setting to the outside. The running back is set to his side, so he wants to win to the inside anyway. And he sees Fant set, and he's going to cross his face. Like it's very similar to that one play we saw earlier. A little bit late off the ball. Sees a bit, Fant has to play this angle better, to me, which we're not going to talk about. He's a little bit too flat here. But again, Martin notices the lateral step, which is obviously taking his momentum away from the B gap, which you can see his eyes notice that, big gap, crosses his face, get lateral, pair it with a rip, which when it doesn't land, almost acts like that chicken wing again. Getting a little bit of awareness in space there, just getting his hands on guys to propel himself forward, keep himself clean. Gets his hand onto McGovern, works his way to Zach Wilson, works past Ty Johnson with a piss poor pass block attempt. Lowers his head, doesn't get really hands on. He can't make the team. He just can't make the team. He's not good. He is below a jag. He hurts them more than he helps. He's just not good. I'm sorry. It's so nice like that. I'm looking at this team like, oh, Greg Van Roten's gone, Morgan Moses, okay, but we have a better right tackle now at Becton. Griffin's gone, Cole is gone. Like, obviously there's injuries and stuff, but I'm so done with the bad Jets. So again, crosses his face, good job with that. Rip finds his way to, works past the shit block from Ty Johnson, works his way to Zach Wilson. Little bit of gloating there at the end. I'm not sure if this was brought up in the meeting room between them when they were negotiating a contract, but I'd watch a little. Again, I don't know if he's trying to intimidate a jet plane, but you better watch that shit. Martin's sack doesn't count. Jump, read stance. I'm just assuming for the Jets right here, like, you see these guys in this close vicinity, you see this tipping you off to something, like something's coming here. And just based on Martin's stance right here, right? Are we assuming he's bursting straight, outside, or inside? You guys tell me. This foot outside of his frame, leaving heavy into it. I'm gonna say he's gonna go inside. That's just me. So AVT needs to play that better. To be honest, AVT explodes way too heavy into that. Again, he has to read his stance and expect an inside move right there. I get getting hands on, but you got to be lighter on your feet, not overcommit to that first portion of the block, or the first blocky. So that's on AVT right there. It's actually a pretty bad play, to be honest. But they run a quick stunt, a quick TE. I like the little stride there, bursting up the field, works his way to Zach Wilson, gets the sack. But what happens is, I think somebody jumped. Who is it? Right there. There's a jump right there from whoever that is. 90. Well, I think it's 90. I think it's 90 who I liked watching him. Or I think okay, he's decent. Like I saw some flashes from 90. I just don't. I think he was a draft pick from a couple of years ago, or he's a young guy. I'm pretty sure. Martin pressure, left side of your screen right here. Morgan Moses. This is going to be him versus the Ravens in week 1. Obviously, hopefully the pass isn't completed, but steps inside, avoiding a potential chip. Again, past that point, I think he wants to rush up the arc, but he realizes that Moses has pretty good leverage to the up the arc. Like he's not in a bad spot. So he kind of just runs his feet right here and just reading what to do. There's not really a true plan. He's just trying to find an opening. Morgan Moses shoots a high outside hand, opening up his chest. We have Martin, who reads that open chest. Again, just kind of running the feet a little bit, burst off the instep of the outside foot. Good. Getting into his bull rush, hands inside. Again, he could be better leverage into it. He's pretty high into that bull rush, so it's not going to be conducive to him really driving him backwards. He might get initial pop, but when you're not really rolled up under a bull rush, it's going to stall out after 2 to 3 yards typically. So gets into his bull rush. Now it turns into a little bit of just because he's it's almost hard to explain, but like because he's moving up the arc, for him to continue a bull rush, which is completely under, he's gonna have to be moving with him up the arc to bull rush, and it doesn't make sense. Like if his angle's working straight through him, he's working up the field. They're working at opposite angles. So you're not gonna be able to stay completely under that block. So the straight bull rush turns into him working up the arc, and now him just getting that right hand in. Extension off the right hand. Again, what is he trying to do? He's trying to throw him past Zach Wilson's level so he can cross his face to get to Zach Wilson, right? Push him past his level, cross his face, goes to do that. Wilson realizes it, obviously rolls out. And then we have Martin who tries to chase him down. But he delivers it to Griffin. Hell of a throw. Look at that throwing motion. Sidearm over Martin's hand, feet not set at all. Delivers it strike to Griffin. Nice play. little bit of Zach Wilson juice in here too. Martin pressure, right side of your screen right here. So comes off the ball, and this is where he's playing a little bit more run, so he's not just going to always like be strictly a pass rusher. So comes off the ball, noticing more of an aggressive set from the offensive lineman. So he's not going to try to rush. He's going to read the run first. Reads the run. Now, do we want do we want a little bit better? Do we want him more attached to the ground and having better leverage here when he gets into this block? Yes, I do. But reads it. Either it's a combination of two. Well, to me, either he sees that he's not handing the ball off, which it's very, very early to say he sees that at this point because he has no idea. But he may, let's assume that he sees a very flat angle from the running back away, so he's not necessarily worried about setting the edge on his side, even though I guess you could say, okay, well, do we want to see him then set the edge and get flat over the top? Is the only way he can get to the running back, sure, but he shoots his shot, hands on, shoots his shot, as again, just using lateral his athleticism, hands on, stands him up, wants to rush up the arc. Now they're kind of squared up, and he's just going to step through that to clear his hips. Again, just using his burst to cross the face, and pulls the tackle down a little bit, works that elbow. Again, how do I want to say? I don't know how I'm going to say that. Him pulling the elbow down just makes him off balance. That's that in short. Pulls him down, makes him off balance. Again, it kind of works like that chicken wing type action right there to keep yourself clean. That elbow is up, bend, portion of the body, disassociation from the hips and the lower half. Good right there. Works to the quarterback. Almost gets the hit, the pressure, whatever it is. But good job transitioning from run to pass. And again, you know what it could be too? Just watching the play again in full speed. It could be like, it's not block deconstruction, but it's just reading the block. Like, yeah, he initially sets towards him aggressively, but if this is a run, he's probably going to actually get his hand on me unless it's just a piss poor tackle. Connor McDermott. So he notices, okay, maybe this is a pass set. That could be part of it too. So gets hands on, again, pulls him down, and you see him widen his track to create that separation. At this point, with his hands on, with the tackle's hands on, he doesn't want to just rush straight here because the tackle's gonna be able to be under it. So he widens and pulls him down just to create the tackle being off balance. Ball is dumped off. Pittman. Martin pressure, right side of your screen, 3-point stance. Okay. I would love to give him the benefit of the doubt here and say that was his plan to do what he did with his feet, but I think it's more of, again, being just transparent. I think his plan is to go 1-2, but then he realizes the running back is coming back from the chip and he says, no, excuse my French, close your kids' ears, but fuck that. There's no way I'm going to win to the outside here. So then he redirects to the inside. So again, more of an aggressive rush angle, which you think you'd be doing because the running back anyway. So it's a little bit weird. I wonder what I would like to ask, like, what was your plan here? And did you readjust it, or was this your plan the whole time? I think it's a readjustment, but why did he not read the running back like he typically does? But more aggressive set towards angle towards the tackle, stab, again, the freeze outside. Again, I think he's going for the cross chop club right there. In the middle of it, realizes that the running back's coming, redirects to the inside. Again, his natural athleticism just takes over, lands the club into the tackle because the tackle was beat so badly with that. He's so off balance now. So trying to both shift inside, already being off balance, and trying to reshift to the outside. He's very, very off balance. Martin just kind of clubs him to where he's going, beats him cleanly, works to the quarterback. And unfortunately, he's not able to kind of adjust his angle to get the sack, but obviously it's a pressure, right? So 10 plays left, Martin's speed to power. Okay. Right here. This is what we want to see a little bit more of in his game. Again, the cross chop, all that stuff is nice, but adding more to the repertoire just makes it not as easy to play you. Obviously, right? So rushes up the arc, and he can even play his angles better here. Like he rushes at a pretty straight angle. The tackle anticipates him working to the outside. I believe, and Martin just takes his open chest. Again, now with this, he's a little bit high and he's not able to really roll his hips into it. So again, we want to see him more tight and really roll up that hips and lift instead of push. That's all points of that the coaching staff has to bring up with him, because he does get into his bull rush relatively high, not really completely under them. But with that being said, this is just a play of just flashing. Even with not great technique, his speed to power can work, because guys they panic a little bit with how freaking fast he can get up the arc. It doesn't matter. Listen, it doesn't matter. It's just like, it's even with receivers. Like, even if you're not the best receiver in the world, if you're fast, it does something to guys. It's going to change a defense. It's just speed is speed, So up the arc, redirects inside. Bull rushes continue to just drive the feet, but again, very, very high into the bull rush. Who's not necessarily he's able to finish it, I guess. It's almost assisted the fact that Wentz reverse pivots out of there. Tries to chase him down. Wentz obviously delivers the ball to 21 to Naheem Hines. The freaking Jonathan Taylor's great to have in fantasy, but then Naheem Hines will check in and get like a 15-yard reception, like an angle route. You're like, son of a bitch. He takes a lot of points away from Taylor. Even though Taylor, I still think was the number one scorer in fantasy last year, right? I think so. I have him in a keeper league. In another keeper league, I have either Dalvin Cook in the second, but the late second, or Javonte Williams in the eighth. I'm doing Javonte. I think Javonte's going to go off this year a little bit. Martin Rushman, left side of your screen. Against new jet Dwayne Brown. Yeah, just pure. It's just pure athleticism. Again, now we've seen this. Now we've seen him do this twice. Is this part of his repertoire? Did he add this late in the season? It's based on us seeing it twice here, it possibly. So again, more of a direct angle reduces the feet. You'd like to see that foot gain a little bit more ground, that inside step. But if the plan is okay, outside or inside, outside, inside, then you have to give some room for your outside foot to close around him too, while also being across the face. So I've kind of just proved myself wrong. So good job. Rushes towards him, inside instep, outside instep, club, arm over, gets to Wilson. But obviously the ball is out very quickly. Now for Dwayne Brown, obviously with this being a quick drop back and throw, I don't know if it's a short yard situation or whatever. But Dwayne Brown, we want to see him play a little more inside out there. Tries to throw that fake punch, but he overset him. So overset there by Dwayne Brown. Club arm over again is to Wilson, but the ball is out. Hopefully I'm watching much more Dwayne Brown film tonight. Check it. Let's see. We're going to play 45. We got a couple plays left. Let's see. Nope. Don't think so. Don't think so. Don't think so. Nope. All right. Martin QB hit. Right side of your screen. Dwayne Brown again, getting beat up a little bit by Martin here. Not ideal, but comes off the ball. Again, a little bit late here, which ideally we do not want. And there's really not much to this. Like there's short. There's a shortened stride. It's really not the most sexy play. Now again, could he be shortening his strider here as he's reading a potential run? Yeah, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. But eventually turns into a pass rush. And at this point, he just notices that he's sitting heavy inside, and he trusts himself to be able to defeat the hands and cross his face or cross his plane to bend. So sitting heavy inside, you're not going to win inside right here. So went to the outside. Again, timing. Cross shot doesn't necessarily land the cleanest, but good leap into it. And and to me, it looks like he changes his footwork midair, because he's planning on leaping left foot, right foot, instep, and bending. But I think because he gets caught a little bit and doesn't land as cleanly as he wants to, he almost like changes his footwork midair to then get a quicker strike, to then get that left foot to bend to corner, which makes sense, because if he tries like corner right there, he's not crossed his plane yet, so it's not going to land cleanly. So to me, good job changing up your plan mid-play. Club, rip, gets to Wilson. Huge shot. Now I would watch doing this whole thing. Does he drive into the ground or does he let go? I don't. Let's say let's go. He's a jet now. Good job letting go. But still, it's a good rush, with a massive QB hit. That's big. That's a big time hit. Martin pressure. 46 out of 52. Let's go. Right side of your screen. Again, go 7-5, Y5, lose 5. Okay, obviously Russell Wilson steps up and away from that, but we're 100% seeing better development in terms of rush angles, right? Like it's at the beginning we saw a lot of straight angles. Now we're seeing him press inside, outside, all that stuff. So up the arc, burst off the outside step to really threaten with that inside step, timing, anticipating that punch, cross chop. Club doesn't necessarily land cleanly, but still another like leaping cross chop again, which you want to extend that stride anyway. So it's like I guess it's leaping, but it's an extended stride to get past his level. So angles, outside, inside, timing, cross chop, club, rip, get to Russell Wilson, who steps up, unfortunately. Hopefully for the Jets right here, Quentin Williams, boom, is right there, brings him down, almost completed. But it's a nice rush. Martin pressure, right side of your screen. A little bit high there, but nonetheless. Yeah, so again, a play on angles. Now, the thing I will say is, unless he, for some, whatever he's reading, whatever he's seeing, whatever he's being talked about, talk about the team defense, I don't love the heavy inside stab here from this distance, with the one step. If it's 3-step, if you're going to go 1, 2, 3, and they're all reduced, with that third step being the larger step to really threaten, obviously depending on how the tackle responds, pass set, whatever. But this distance, one step, I don't love the plan, to be honest. So he almost gets a little bit lucky that it's like a jump, like more of an aggressive like jump set. That inside stab, what does that do? You're seeing the weight shift. You see his weight shift back inside, right there, outside, inside. That gives him, again, a little bit of almost like resets the rush. Now he's going to work up the arc. Goes to throw like that double chop on the outside arm. Chop, miss, chop, club. Beats him pretty cleanly, right? Lawrence steps up. Again, I would recommend not taking a step that large. And especially, I remember talking about this last time too. With the step that large, one, there's a few things. When you're over, there's a point where yes, you want to be shoulder width apart, but you also don't want to be overextended. A little bit overextended here to me. And with that being said, if you are going to step inside, ideally you want to like split him. This is a little bit more like squared up, so it's gonna be harder for him to cross his face. Again, ideally you want that foot like maybe a little bit closer and like here, like where my cursor is. Just littlest things matter. It's a little bit shallow again. I don't love it from that far out, but pressing inside of that foot again, chop, club, beats him cleanly. Lawrence steps up, but it's still a win for him. And we're hoping again with the Jets, Solomon Thomas, Quentin Williams, JFM, boom, right there. And there's not that clean of an alley for Russell Wilson to Trevor Lawrence to just run through, right? 5 plays, 48. Martin's win but slip. Left side of screen here. Again, another play where the running back is set to his side, so he's in a rush to the inside, at least initially, which doesn't always happen, but typically it does. Rushes inside. Again, it's with this distance vertically and that step being kind of so squared up, I don't love the feet here, and we're almost again maybe seeing him mid rep realize, okay, we anticipate with that movement he wants to burst to the outside, but I think he notices, okay, I can't cover that much ground with that step. So he reduces his footwork and then does it again. It's like, okay, let me retry, reset this, boom, do it again. Cross chop, club, rip that turns into a chop, continues to work his hands, continues to work his feet, slips, but gets pressure on Herbert. Again, so it's not the cleanest play. That plan right there is not the best, but I think he readjusted again, kind of mid rep, which is going to happen plenty, right? So moving on. 49. Martin loses balance, effort. Okay. Left side of your screen here. Rushing against what looks, I think I said this last time, it looks like Tom Compton, right? Who played guard for the Jets. guard tackle. That is not a good situation if Tom Compton, you're starting right tackle. So he comes off the ball. Shit happens, right? He slips initially. But it almost kind of works to his benefit. He slips inside and it gets the tackle to sit a little bit on it. And then past that, he continues to press to the inside. Press the inside again, widen, burst off the instep, cross chop. Looks like he goes to split him too, but he opens his stance a little bit. So the foot's a little bit better there. Yeah, maybe. I have to look at the other feet again, but in general, whatever, it works. Slips, holds him inside, cross chop, club, rip. Wow, what a shocker. And again, the tackle tries to stay in on it, but just continuing to work his hands, continue to work his feet, drives, just never loses speed. And then obviously the effort to chase Lance down, who is, people talk about like the 49ers a lot. He's a complete question mark. He can absolutely suck. We have no idea what he's going to be. We saw nothing from him last year. It was interesting. Martin, tackle for loss, 4th and 1 athleticism. Okay. Left side of screen here. And I would not expect him to play like that or play in a situation like that with the Jets, but you never know. Like, listen, if it's 3rd and 10, he's in there for a play, and then they get an 8-yard pass off, and then they huddle to the line, you're not going to be able to substitute. So he's going to have to play sometimes. So ball is snapped. He notices the tackle step down. So he just closes ground again, just setting that edge, gets his hand on and keep himself clean while reading the backfield. So little stuff, but I like the step down. I like his hand there. Which again, just keeps himself clean, propels himself, but eventually he notices the pitch to the running back, takes a good angle to cut him off, allowing the backside pursuit to come if he's undercut you. But still a good angle to cut him off. Gives him a little hesitation. Martin flips his hips to square him up. Mid doing that, the running back reaccelerates to the outside. Martin adjusts his feet and is able to chase him down for the tackle. That's a hell of a play on 4th and 1, right? For Martin, they're trying to like isolate him on this pitch and just give the running back a chance one-on-one to beat him, and not going to happen. Too athletic in the open field. I wouldn't necessarily do that to Martin's side. Now, if you're choosing him versus, let's say, I don't know, Jermaine Johnson, okay, I get it. But Martin pressure. Let me extend this a little bit. Left side of your screen right there. You have the quarterback who steps up and gets rid of the ball. But let's see the play on angles. Okay, yeah. So again, is that step a little bit overextended? Yes, the hands are a little bit different here, but the steps a little bit overextended. Again, we want to see it more pressing towards him and splitting, not necessarily like making it so wide we are squaring him up, which is, again, you're just giving yourself another half body to cross against. Like, you want that step to be almost like splitting his crotch and then extending, and you're just working past half. But when you're squaring him up with that step, now you're even. You have to work even more past him. You feel what I'm saying? So he then a little bit overextended, a little bit too heavy inside, but cross chop. We don't see cross chop a lot, but pulls it off here. It's a good move. Cross chop, club, rip. Again, there's distance here, so none of that necessarily lands cleanly in terms of the club rip. Continues to work his way to Tannehill. Again, creates him to step up in the pocket. With the Jets, are you going to be able to step up as much in the pocket as you are against the Texans? I'm going to be very optimistic and say no. Come on. So it's not going to happen as much as it did with the Texans, where he's just able to step up and avoid them. Martin sack, last play. Looking forward to it. Right side of your screen, 54, obviously. If you don't know that by now, you listen to me on audio only, which you're a psychopath. There are people who do it, which is, I don't know. Maybe you're just like, okay, well, that's a good play, it's a bad play. I don't know what happens there, but people do listen. So, and he should be keyed off. This guy's going to block him just based on like his body language, but he rushes inside again, probably because of that. Rushes inside, catches a chip, and really all this play is he rushes, he gets caught a little bit, but the tackle right here oversets, and this push inside by the tight end or whatever it is, we call him a tight end, I don't know if it's a tight end, that chip inside propels Martin past or it propels him across his Luan's face, which not a good play by Luan. This is watching both games against the Titans. I'm not as impressed with Luan as I thought I would be. Again, it's more passively watching him, but maybe he's dropped off recently because injuries and stuff, but he's not a stud. So yeah, and like plays like this are inexcusable. You know this chip is coming. You got to play inside out. But he oversets again. The chip pushes him past his horizontal level. Again, thank you for the assistance, sir. Chop, rip, and again, rip can work against the hand too. You know the hand is there. It's in a more powerful position here. Now it's not. Continue to work your feet. Get the hit on ten. Actually, get the sack. Or no, I apologize again. Almost gets the sack on Tannehill. Now, are you going to kill him for this? No. You know, he thinks the ball might come out, so he's getting his hand high, which leads to him, you know, kind of just raising his body, tackle coming high. Tannehill's, you know, more of a powerful guy. He's able to break that tackle. It is what it is. He's not able to finish it. Ideally, we want him to, but still a good play by him. That's it. No more plays to talk about for him. Third time doing it. I'm going to read off the list of his strengths and weaknesses. Just pull it up. Jacob Martin. Okay, 26 years old. I said 25 before. Sorry. 26, 6'2", 242. Strengths. Motor runs hot. Tough. Elite burst. Elite. Maybe it's 9 out of 10, not a 10 out of 10. Active hands. Good chop, cross chop, and swipes. Bend, flexibility. Corners well. Pairs hands and feet mostly. Speed, length, lateral explosion. Loose. Plays that 1.5 times speed. Reduces his body as he corners. Flashes of that. Ankle flexion, maintains speed while cornering, dropped into some shallow zones, coil out a 2-point stance, explosive lateral movement as a looper. Gets hand up to try and deflect pass, potential for speed to power. Also goes for force fumble when able. Weaknesses. Size for full-time role, anchor, run defense, can play out of control, could do better to soften edge with angles, throws hands early, move versus combos, lacks power to shed blockers consistently, not much power. Hand punch strength could condense move, less productive as he saw more snaps, lacks counters. Even though he lacks like true counters, but he just works his feet and his hands so much he just ends up winning. But he can get locked up. He's pretty much locked up from there. If he, which there's a lot of guys, but still, can struggle to break grip of blockers, stalls on bull rushes. Want to see him threaten inside more. Needs a diversified pass rush, which I think he did a little bit towards the end. Needs a tighter hands and leverage on bull rushes. Can get caught in chest as rusher. Doesn't always have well formulated plan. Could play with more gap space awareness. Which he showed a decent amount, but I guess I saw it enough in the other reps that I put it there. Loses balance too often, all or nothing edge rusher. Can push too hard upfield, opening gaps in run game, and can force spin moves. That's it. I'm going to end the show and hope to see the audio connect. With that being said, you guys have, I think, Herbig coming after this, Quan Alexander, a couple of other guys. Again, this is my last review I'm recording. Until preseason and until Dwayne Brown signs, which I'm going to go check right now. But I will see you guys soon.